Hey, Dean.
Hey, Wags.
What you doing?
I'm ready to drink.
All right.
Lombardi's Legends podcast. We've got a former professional bartender here, Wags. What are you thinking?
I think today we should make a Bernie Blast. And, of course, we're going to be using Leaf Spirits vodka. And then let's just go ahead and get started here, Dane, shall we? So
let's do it.
First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to put 1.5 ounces of OJ in the bottom of an empty glass.
So this is like a health drink then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to just cover that with ice. And then, now we're going to move over to the side. And if we could come in here and take a close look, we're going to pour in ingredients successively in separate mixing glass. We've got our vodka. Your choice of blue Caraco.
Blue Caraco?
Absolutely.
Do they have green and gold Caraco, do you know?
I don't think it would be necessary for green and gold.
Okay.
As much as I love where your head's at, Dane, it's blue. And then we're going to put in some ginger ale, 4.5 ounces of lemonade. All right. And now we're ready to mix. So if you have a mixer, we can just go ahead. This is an old bartender trick. When you're at your tailgate, just pour it back and forth. We've got our main drink glass with the OJ. We're ready to go.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited to drink some of this Leaf Spirit vodka. Whatever it's in, it's going to be really good. I know that.
All right. And finally, we are going to garnish with a lemon twist.
Okay. There's the gold portion of our green and gold. I like it.
There you go, Dan.
Thanks, Wags. Let me have a sip. It's delicious. Smooth Leaf Spirits vodka. Terrific. Thank you, Wags.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers.
Go back, go!
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go pack go. Ain't show with no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will.
All right, folks. Welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. Dane here with Wags, but we do not matter so much tonight because tonight we have an extremely important and special guest with us, folks. Green Bay Packers wide receiver Jeff Cotton Jr. Jeff, welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me.
Dude.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. And we're just jumping on here. It's only a few weeks into the off season here, early February. How's the off season been treating you so far?
It's been well. It's been well needed. Just trying to get my body, back to 100% and just relaxing, spending time with my family, friends, and just mainly relaxing for the most part.
Good. So you came into Green Bay, November? You signed with the Packers practice squad, right? And kind of a fascinating journey. You've been in the league now for a couple years. What's your initial impression of Green Bay? And now that you've been part of the program and part of the organization here for a minute, what's your impression been so far of the city and the organization?
The organization is great all around. The coaches, players, the people that are in the cafeteria, just the equipment guys, everybody is just great, good people. The city, it reminds me a lot of where I went to school out in Idaho, just like real small, not much to do. With that, they love the Packers and the fan base is incredible. So it's great. I can't complain.
Yeah, and Jeff, I know that you were with Jacksonville Jaguars for a couple seasons before signing with Green Bay in November. Did you have a particular connection to the Packers, or just tell us, how did that all go down that you ended up signing with Green Bay? Because I'm sure that you had other options around the league as well.
Yeah. So I actually came in for a workout like probably 2 weeks prior to me signing. Came out, had a good workout. Everything was going well, but eventually they didn't sign me, and they went with somebody else. And then a couple weeks went by, and my agent ended up calling me and pretty much told me the Packers, they're Like, go ahead, pack yourself because you're going to Green Bay pretty much. And yeah, so that's how it went. But I had a couple workouts prior to the Green Bay, but I mean, it came back around, and I'm just glad I'm here.
Yeah, Jeff. So did you know where Green Bay was on a map? Had you been to Wisconsin before? We're from Wisconsin, but we don't expect everybody to know where we're
Yeah.
at. So what was that like? And were you ready for the winter?
Oh man. For one, well, yes, I did. I did do know where Wisconsin was at, Green Bay, but never been out here. Never really would have planned on being out here. But the weather, my gosh, that it was tough for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we know you went to college in Idaho, right? So I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was comparable or not. You've played football in snow though before, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But the thing is, in Idaho, we had a dome, so we never we practiced outside a little bit here and there. But the cold out there in Green Bay, it's different. It's it's different for sure. And I I'm well prepared now when I go back.
Yeah, so I guess not to belabor that, but I'm just kind of curious. Was there a moment that was a little bit different? I mean, you've been in NFL locker rooms, obviously, but just was there something about walking into that facility, Lambeau Field, that first day that struck you as different, or what? Or was there anything that stood out about that experience?
Kind of just the building. Like Green Bay, it's a legendary team, a legendary organization. So, like going in and kind of seeing like all the pictures and plaques on the wall of all the great players that have played at Green Bay before. Um, I like seeing that stuff. So it was something that caught my attention and something that I thought was real cool that they have. And it's just a nice building overall. I mean, it's top of the line. So I'd say the biggest thing was just that kind of just like the memorabilia they have around the building. I thought was real cool.
It was cool. So I gotta ask then for folks. So we have been watching, video after video views since you signed in Green Bay, just to kind of get a sense of who you are, what kind of player you are. Something that before we went live here, as you were joining us, that stood out to us is your speed. You're a guy that plays with explosive speed. You play the game, and I mean this in the biggest compliment. You're a violent football player. I love how you play the game. So who do you model your game after? And for Packer fans out there, what can Packer fans expect to see in OTAs and in training camp from Jeff Cotton Jr.?
I would say I'm trying to model my game after I watch a lot of receivers, past and present. So I mean, it's just kind of like everyone kind of like picking a part of everyone's game and kind of making it into your own. But I would say what the fans can expect is just a hard-working player that wants to make the best play each and every play. Just do my assignment to the best of my ability and just be that player that stands out each and every week. So that's what I expect. Just go out there and do what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah, for sure. And Jeff, one of the things that stood out to me, in addition to the speed and physicality, is your ability to catch the football away from your body. It's pretty remarkable. And some of the tape that I was watching, what do you attribute that to? Is that something that you've really worked on? Is that more of a natural skill that you've always had a knack for over time? Because it does stand out. Not everybody has the ability to really extend and bring the football down.
Yeah, I would it's funny because I do take pride in catching with my hands. And when I was younger, I would try and catch with my body, but like it would never work. I feel like I have a hard time catching with my body. And like I'm more than likely to drop because it's gonna bounce off my chest, bounce off my shoulder or something. So I always try to catch with my hands as much as possible, but during pretty much year round, just trying to keep my hands, strong, forearms strong, just a lot of grip. So I mean, just try and have my hands as strong as possible. So if I can put my hands on it, it's gonna get caught.
So, so you're on the practice squad last year, a good portion of the year, and I'm wondering then at that time, what's it look like rotation wise? I know it was a pretty young wide receiver group overall. Were you catching passes from Jordan? Were you from Danny? Who were kind of your primary quarterbacks then during practice?
It was majority of the time Jordan. During routes on air, I throw a little bit with Aaron here and there, but it was mainly Jordan once practice started going.
Cool.
Yeah, and when you come in, just out of curiosity, is there something that you're trying to do to really, make that connection both with your teammates and peers in the wide receiver room, but obviously with the quarterback group that you'll be working closely with as well? Just to, coming in late in the season, mid-season, I'm just kind of curious how that process works and how you were able to make yourself obviously fit within what the Packers were looking for, and the fact that they extended you that futures deal here recently in January.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me personally, I would say, is kind of just being myself and just not trying to do too much, but off the field, being myself, doing the right thing, taking care of what I need to take care of, controlling what I need to control. And I mean that goes on the field as well. I think the biggest thing for me was just coming in late, like halfway through the season, guys kind of, got their roles and got their, connection with, he or whoever it may be. But I think the biggest thing for me was just studying the playbook. And I mean, when I was out there getting live reps, just being where I needed to be. And I think that's how I got a lot of my catches in practice was just, the team periods, 2-minute, whatever it may be, just, being in the right spot. And whether I was open or not, just, being where I needed to be.
And folks, right now, obviously, if you're listening on the podcast next day, you know who we're talking to. We're talking to Jeff Cotton Jr., but I know some folks are hop on our live stream from time to time too. So Jeff Cotton Jr., wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, our extremely special guest right now. Jeff, I noticed that you played some special teams. You were a kick returner at times. College, you got some special teams reps in the NFL. Is that something you're, comfortable in doing? Is that something that that you lean into? And how do you prepare for that? Because it's such a different part of the game than I think day to day being a wide receiver at the NFL level.
Yeah. It's something that I going into this year is really going to be my main focus because, I mean, I've been in the NFL now for a couple years, so I know where I need to be and what my role needs to be to, play each and every Sunday. So special teams is most definitely something I'm willing to do and looking forward to doing. But just special teams is kind of like it just goes back to like playing football when you're a kid, kind of that mindset. A lot of people overlook it, but it's most definitely one of the most important parts of the game. And it's a good way to, get your name out there and put yourself on film, just going out there hustling and showing effort, making effort plays. So it's exciting, and this is definitely a whole different mindset you got to have playing on it.
For sure. And I mean, in addition to that, I'm just kind of curious, just as a follow-up to Dan's question and kind of from my question earlier, when you look at guys that were on the 53 this year in that wide receiver room, such as an Alan Lazard, and maybe kind of not obviously the exact same path, but in some ways similar path to what you're trying to take here to establish yourself and to have that opportunity. Was there anything? Did you have any talks with a guy like Alan? Is there anything that you could take away from that, or is it really more just what you got to do? You get putting into the work, and it's all about individual circumstances.
No, most definitely. He had talked a lot to the receiver group. He's kind of the leader of the receiver group. But yeah, he was a cool dude, and he talked to us a lot. One of the biggest things he said was just always putting your best effort on tape. the best possible play you can make on tape, because I mean that's how it is in the business. Like you're getting evaluated every day, and you just got to put your best foot forward. But me personally, I kind of know at this point how to operate and how to go about my business. But it's definitely, I don't shy away from talking to the older guys or even younger guys, but just picking other players' minds, other guys' minds, and learning from their journeys and their experiences, because I've learned so much from so many different players. So that's something I definitely always try to do wherever I'm at. Just get a good connection with the guys and just learn from them.
Did you then, coming in November? I mean, some of these guys had been within the organization since August. A ton of them way more then, right? So you're kind of like the new kid in school almost in a weird way. Playbook wise, I mean, what was that cram session like just for you to be up and ready to go? Because, you're talking about being in the right position at the right time. And damn, man, like I've seen these, I see what kind of plays you guys are running. It is complicated stuff. So, so how do you get up to speed on that? And I assume that your preparation really impressed the coaching staff for you to come back on a futures deal. It's not an easy task.
No, it's not. It's being in a few different offices, you kind of pick up. It's a lot of it is like it's the same, but just different lingo. So just kind of like knowing how you study and how you learn best, I think it's something I've done well and been able to do wherever I've been at. So I feel like that, just studying multiple times a day and just staying locked in, keeping it the main thing. And I think that's been the biggest thing that's helped me everywhere I've been, is just focusing and keeping the main thing while I'm, there. That's why the offense has never really, it was a little, it has a little tricks in there, but, asking questions always helps. And nobody ever turned away when I had a question. So I feel like, it was just me, myself, in my studying, but also a credit to the guys, helping me out.
For sure. And, in addition to special teams, which you mentioned is a focus for you at this point, is there any particular part of your game that, I know you're probably enjoying some time off, relax, like you said, getting your body right, but as you start to ramp up here, OTAs, training camp, etc., is there any part of your game that you're really focusing on as a receiver to try to develop some further this offseason?
I feel like the biggest thing is just proving, releases, routes, top of the routes. What else? Just catching. I feel like, every offseason is an opportunity to improve on, obviously, the things that you're not too good at, but just everything else as a whole. And I'll say that this one thing I can always just practice is, top of the route and releases, working with somebody in front of you. So it doesn't get, it's not really new when OTAs or, camp come around. Just kind of, one thing I like to do is just try and replicate game situation as much as possible. So however that may be, whenever I get back into things, I like doing that.
Do you then, so this is a wide receiver group. Don't have to tell you. I mentioned at the top, it's currently, as the roster stands, it's a group that's very youthful, that's had some success in the league already, but it is still youthful. Are you somebody that plays primarily on the outside? Are you a slot receiver? Where are you comfortable? Where have they had you line up so far within the organization? Just kind of curious what your MO is on the offensive side. And this is selfishly a question I have because I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's I like to just be, available to be put wherever, whether it's outside, inside, wherever it may be. But it was really a lot of slot. A lot of the slot I was playing during like team periods and all that. But I mean, either or I like, and I feel like, if you're able to go inside or outside, it's just more opportunity. So, I don't usually I do get put on the outside, but I mean, I try to let coaches know like I can play inside and make sure I know know what I'm doing in there, so I can tell them that.
Cool.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm kind of curious just to maybe shift away from your situation with the Packers for a moment. Your journey to the NFL is just like I think every player's is very interesting journey. Certainly, you went the JUCO route out of high school, All American. Then you go to Idaho, All American. So you got the accolades, man. But just kind of curious because I think an underrated thing is some of the challenges that you and other players have to deal with along that journey. So I'm just curious if you're willing to share, any particular challenges that you dealt with on that journey that you had to kind of try to overcome.
And those of you that are listening on the pod, I encourage you to go to our video because I can tell as Wags is asking this question, Jeff's got some ideas in mind. He's thinking about stuff. He's going back. So it's great.
No, yeah, man, it's crazy to think about because like it's been a long journey, and it's like I give credit to a lot of people because without like a certain few people, like I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So it was definitely like so going out of JUCO, my last semester. Long story short, I ended up having to take like three different classes at 3 different schools all that summer prior to going to Idaho. Finish those, then I go out to Idaho, and then going to Idaho and being a real small school, just having to, and it's something our coach would always says like we're at Idaho, you have to do everything right here, and some more. Because, I mean, we're such a small school. We don't play big schools like that, so you're not going to get that exposure. But, and then, doing my thing in Idaho, getting into the NFL, and just, the undrafted situation, just going through it and kind of hopping from team to team here and there. But, it's just trying to find the right fit, trying to find the right situation, make the most of the situation I'm in, and just getting that trust from the coaches that they can trust me and put me in any situation without having to second guess themselves. But I think just the journey, it's been a long one. It's been a ride. It's been a roller coaster for sure. But I'm grateful for it. It's definitely made me to who I am today, and I just try and along this journey inspire people and let them know that there's hard times, but there is also good times. So just keep on trucking,
Yeah.
But most definitely grateful for the journey.
When did you realize, Jeff, that maybe the NFL was a possibility? Going from junior college to Idaho, when did you go, you know what? I think I can play in this league.
So you're like when I felt like, okay, I can play.
It's kind of a two-parter, right? It's like, when did you think like, oh shoot, I'm gonna be in the league? And then the second one is, when do you go, you know what? I think I can stick in this league.
No, yeah. Oh, okay. So I think I've always, since I was younger, wanted to play in the NFL, but I think in college, like making plays against, some of the bigger teams, the FBS schools, like just giving you that boost of confidence that, okay, like, I can compete with these guys. And then being in the NFL, just making plays against, being on practice squad, you're obviously going against the first team defense, making plays against them, just making plays, throughout the season against whoever it may be, you're just building your confidence. And then eventually I knew because I struggled with my confidence early, my rookie year, the camp, it was tough. And I think right about halfway through my rookie year, I was like, okay, like I can do this for real. And got comfortable, started playing fast, not really thinking. And then I had ended up getting injured, but I think that was when like I just needed that first 8 weeks to kind of get my feet wet and just get used to everything and get that confidence going. But definitely like halfway through my rookie year, I was like, all right, like I can do this for real.
I was going to say, I don't know if people that haven't played really understand the, the jump that happens at every level. I mean, you could go back to going from, h- middle school to high school level football, and then going from junior varsity to varsity, and then like varsity to college level. I mean, the progressions are significant, and it's a transition at every level, right?
Yeah, correct. Most definitely. Most definitely. Just because, everyone's each, level you go is just bigger, faster, stronger, bigger, faster, stronger. Being in the NFL, you're playing against some of the best athletes in the world, some of the fastest, quickest. So it's just definitely, you got to be on your P's and Q's at all times. And just with reps, you just get used to it. So it's just repetition at the end of the day.
You mentioned going against the best, and the Packers have some of the best, in our opinion, on the defensive side of the ball. What's it like going against guys like Jair and Razul, and I mean, all of these dudes? But is there a lot of jawing going on in practice too, as much as going on in game day, or what's that look like, and what's the chemistry like on that, internal?
Yeah, no, they're definitely both very, very good corners, very smart. Having two guys like that, it's fun to go against because you can ask questions. They're willing to answer at all times, and both were just really good players. So it's good to get some good work against them and work your craft. But they're both great players, great guys, and definitely grateful to have the opportunity to work against players like that each and every week.
All right, Jeff, I'm gonna kind of take another shift here. We know that you are Jeff, the football player. You love talk about that, but who are you off the field? Like, what are you into? What are
Yeah.
what are you when you're not the football player?
When I'm not the football player, I'm kind of just a chill dude. Like I'm a simple man. I like to tell people I'm a simple man. I just like to spend time with my friends, just chill, lay back. I kind of go with the flow. But I don't got too much to me. I would say recently, I just started reading a lot of books the past couple of years, trying to, make my time useful, reading, learning something. But yeah, I'm a simple guy.
That's great. I mean, I love it, man. You seem like a really good dude. And I know I want to be mindful of your time, but what you listen to music? Are you a music guy? Do you listen to anything that gets you hyped up before the games? What's that look like? Is it different than what you're like vibing to at home? Kind of curious.
Yeah. I listen to I'm a real just rap R&B. I listen to a lot of R&B. I started listening to a lot of R&B like the past couple of years. I got like a giant playlist now. But I kind of like to just stay, not listen to the crazy, headbanging stuff.
Yeah.
24/7. Like I like to do that. Maybe before practice, before games, when I need to. But if I'm just, chilling throughout the day, I like to listen, to R&B, and then maybe throw in something a little crazy here and there. But I like the chill vibe.
For sure. Jeff, just kind of curious. Have you had a chance? I'm guessing you're not in Green Bay right now, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Just to go somewhere warmer. That's probably.
Yeah.
Are you back? I don't know. If you're back in Arizona, but I'm not sure if you had any chance coming from. You're from Tucson, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So big city, Phoenix area, but just kind of curious. Is there anything in Green Bay from a cultural Green Bay perspective that you're like that really was an eye opener? Just I don't know if there was any like meal that you had that you went out, or just anything you saw driving into practice one day. Sometimes Green Bay could be a little bit different. So I'm just kind of
I'm trying to think. I feel like there was something here or there. Damn. I would say one thing that surprised me was a lot of the restaurants, I feel like majority of them have those cheese curds.
Yeah.
Just about all of them, like everywhere I went, it was just like I seen cheese curd. I'm like, dang. They like the cheese out here.
Yeah, we put cheese on everything here in Wisconsin. Jeff, I thought you were going to say that all the restaurants close at about 8 p.m. in Green Bay.
That too. That as well. Yes.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. Yeah. That one for sure.
Is there any meaning behind the number 82? Is that just issued to you? Is that, what's behind that?
No, it's not. Honestly, it was just one they had. I want to say it was just the one. It was one they gave me.
Yeah.
I didn't ask too many questions, but it might have been. I think I might have asked Red, and he said it was the only one they had.
Cool.
For sure. Well, Jeff, I really want to thank you again. Appreciate you for coming on. I think we, as Dane said a few minutes ago, want to be mindful of your time and let you get back to enjoying your evening. And we'll be watching you from afar and rooting for you as you make your way through the off-season training camp program. And best of luck with everything in Green Bay. And stay connected here. We're hoping that everything goes well for you as you move forward.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll be cheering for you hard all through OTAs and camp and tracking you and making sure our listeners know all the good stuff you're doing in Green Bay. So we really appreciate you. Jeff Cotton Jr., wide receiver, Green Bay Packers. Man, thank you so much in the offseason taking the time to join this podcast.
Dang Wags, much love. Appreciate you guys.
See you, Jeff.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Yep. All right. So, Jeff, we'll let you go and go ahead and take a break here and talk about our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. The stage is set, and we're counting down to the battle in Arizona. There's no better way to get ready for NFL action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly.
Plus, all new and existing customers, Wags, can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Boost your Super Bowl 57 winnings. With each leg, you add up to 100%.
Yep. So, Dane, I don't know if you've got any early predictions for the Super Bowl. I mean, I know neither of us have a rooting interest per se, but I've got to say, when it comes to the Super Bowl, I'm really into the prop bets, and that's what makes the game interesting to me. So I'm going to keep my eye on DraftKings and see if they're willing to throw some prop bets out there. First touchdown scored, maybe that's Travis Kelce. That's probably not going to be too great of odds. So maybe we'll go with something a little long shot like Pacheco or something along those lines. But Dane, I like to plunk a few bucks down whenever we can. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Yep, and use code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void in Ohio. See show notes for details. All right. So, Dane, that was great to talk to Jeff
awesome.
and really appreciate, again, him coming on. It's going to be really interesting to see how things progress in the offseason with what the Packers decide to do with this wide receiver room. And certainly there's going to be turnover. We know that. There may be some impact of the wide receiver room. We know they'll be drafting wide receivers as well. But I think Jeff seems like he certainly has a really solid idea of what his role is and what his track is to have the best chance to make this 53-man roster.
Yeah, man. And listen, I mean, right now, there's 5 guys under contract. So shoot, they draft maybe 2 more, sign a free agent probably. So there's 5, 7, 8 or so that come into camp is my guess. Maybe a little more with the undrafted guys. But don't tell me that Jeff Cotton Jr. doesn't have an opportunity to have a big camp and somehow, make his way onto this roster. We've seen it time and time again with the Green Bay Packers where they have guys that just earn a role through really good OTAs and really good training camp. And I thought it was impressive, right? Dude comes in November. I can't say it enough. Comes in November and earns a second contract to come in. And what folks don't realize, and what I didn't mention while he was on, is that he took 82 from a receiver that he replaced. They released another guy on the practice squad. Jeff came in, took 82, right? I mean, so the Packers were clearly looking for a wide receiver. He's the guy that stood out, and they like him enough that he's coming in. They want to take another look at him. If he does the little things right, if he throws blocks, he's a physical wide receiver. And if he plays well on special teams, don't be surprised if Jeff Cotton Jr. is getting a ton of run through OTAs and into training camp. It's his to grab. I really think it is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. As I thought that was a good question to see who's working with. He said mostly Jordan Love. So if there's some connection there, I think that segues into something else we wanted to talk about. Is if this is Jordan Love's team, the more connection that you have with potentially what could be the starting quarterback next year, I think the better you're off you're going to be. So certainly getting that head start on the early work and then bridging that into the offseason program is, we've seen this track so many times now, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So as you said, Dane, never be surprised when someone like Jeff can make a run at the roster. So that being said, I think we should talk. We've been ignoring. Last episode, we focused on the defense, but the big topic, obviously, when it comes to offseason chatter, has been the quarterback situation, and it keeps getting hotter and hotter and more smoke with Aaron Rodgers potentially getting traded. So, Dane, as we stand today, February 2nd, recording here tonight, where do you stand on the situation? I think we both agreed that we're good with trading Aaron Rodgers, that it's the right time. But where do you stand currently based on everything that's been happening with right from Aaron and the Packers camp, but also around the league as things have shifted a little bit in the quarterback landscape as well?
Well, music to my ears was Devontae Adams putting out on social media. You know, there was like the joke question came like, which neighborhood is he, Aaron, moving to? And Devontae said mine. I love it because it puts, if you're the Packers, what you really want, and we're Packer fans, you know, at the end of the day in this podcast, we're hardcore Packer fans. You want options, and you want whether it's actual or the perception. You want as many cooks in the kitchen on this as humanly possible that want Aaron Rodgers' services, because that's how you're going to be able to extract the most assets in return for Aaron Rodgers' services. That's a reality. So whether the Packers decide they want to keep Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron decides that as well, or if they decide to move on, I think the more options that are out there, the better. It sounds like the Jets internally, externally, externally are talking about how they'll go all in for Aaron Rodgers, so to speak. And that's great to hear. But all in when you're the only one is a lot different than all in when there's a couple other teams also vying to get him. So I think that's a pretty big deal. And the news that Tom Brady's retiring, that's just one less starting quarterback in the league. And Tom was one that, you know, he's a guy who nobody was going to have to give up assets for. He was a guy that was going to come in as a free agent. And now with him off the books with his retirement, it just makes the quarterback position even that much more valuable. If a team's looking to get over the top with a veteran quarterback, now all eyes truly are going to be on Aaron Rodgers, because the alternatives are the Derek Carrs of the world. I mean, realistically, if you're a team that's close and you want to give up some assets, kind of like the Rams did a number of years ago to kind of go all in, then the Packers are your number one call, because Aaron Rodgers is probably the guy you think is going to get you over the top more than anybody else. So do I have a magic ball, 8-ball? No, but I think it's good news for the Packers that it seems like more and more teams might be warming up to the idea of trading for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and I think we, and I say us too, we have kind of had our mindset around coming to grips with trading Aaron now, and that's the route we think this might go. Just to have balance, I do see a little bit more in the last couple of days that zag might it make more sense for the The NFC North, Detroit has gotten better, but the Vikings, I don't think anyone expects, short of an amazing offseason, that they're going to be able to repeat what they did this past year
Right.
by going 11-0 in one-score games. So they're going to have a regression. The Bears are more than a year away. So maybe they'll be a little bit more competitive next year, but I frankly do not see them competing for winning the division in the NFC North. And then when you look around the NFC, Philadelphia, yeah, they had a few late season injuries, but then everybody got healthy again or healthy-ish right before the playoffs. So they've had really good injury fortune. Whereas most teams are not going to be seeing that in consecutive seasons. So certainly that's probably a team that you look out for. The Giants, maybe they're ascending, but I don't know. What are they? Daniel Jones played pretty well. I think they've got a really good coach.
But now they got to pay Daniel Jones, right? Which is a whole
Well,
different thing from a structure standpoint.
Exactly. And I mean, you just look around the NFC, the 49ers now with their quarterback room. I don't know what you do. It sounds like not be back. And so that's a little bit up in the air. So on paper, they probably have the best 53-man roster, but are they as dangerous as we thought they might be?
Right.
I don't know. So, I mean, this isn't me talking myself into this is the best move to bring back Aaron Rodgers, but Dane, I think we shouldn't just brush off that that might be just as much of a possibility as it is to trade him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll also tell you that I actually feel like we're in a really privileged position as Packer fans because a lot of teams are working with no quarterbacks, and you're mentioning a bunch of them. And right now we're trying to determine basically if Aaron Rodgers decides to play this year, which I'm 99.9% sure he's going to be playing NFL football this season, then the question becomes, do we, are we going to go with our four-time MVP quarterback for another year, or are we going to trade and get some major assets and go with Jordan Love, who, in a small amount of duty, looked pretty darn good last year. That's not a bad spot to be in. Now, and it's also, Wags, it's fair to say that, you know what, maybe it's time to trade Aaron Rodgers, and also it's going to hurt and it's going to suck, right? Those are not mutually exclusive. But that being said, I don't think it's totally out of the realm possibility at all that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers realize, you know what, we're still going to stick this out, and we're going to try to finish what we started here. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that ended up being the case when it's all said and done. I think there's going to be a little bit more of a dance. I don't think this is going to wrap up anytime soon. But at the end of the day, we've had a couple of years, in my opinion, where it looked like Aaron could have been gone, wasn't gone. And what makes this truly different this year, I'm not sure. So maybe Aaron Rodgers and the Packers do end up coming to terms, coming back for one more year, and maybe this is it for Aaron, or maybe, we're talking about this again a calendar year from now. But I wouldn't be shocked if Aaron's back. I also wouldn't be shocked if he's traded. I'm prepared to be unsurprised, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest hurdle, to be honest with you, is it seems like there's probably a little bit more give that the Packers would be willing to do to accommodate what Aaron wants. And so then it becomes, well, if you in that negotiation, if you're willing to give enough of what Aaron wants to make it roll it back and he comes back to the Packers, do they have a path to being able to competitively improve the roster? And frankly, they underperformed last year. So that's the first part of it. I think they can bounce back just from that perspective. That said, you can't just say, okay, we're just going to be better next year and magically that's going to happen. They've got to be able to have a reasonable pathway to improve the roster. And I'm not sure that, with all respect to some of the guys that he mentioned that I love as Packers, I'm not sure bringing those guys back and hamstringing what's already a tight cap situation is the answer to putting yourself right back in the thick of realistic Super Bowl contention. Things can happen and things can break well, but the reality is I think a lot of things would have to break the Packers' way in order for that to work out. But I'm willing to entertain the idea that, look, Aaron Rodgers was playing with a broken thumb. And he had the start of the season. They overperformed the first few weeks with a juggling offensive line. They got a little bit exposed in that London game against the Giants, and they had a lot of injuries, to be fair, right in that stretch of the season as well. Particularly to some of the young guys that you were counting on to make that jump in development and contribute early in the season. But that's a lot of ifs in my mind in order for the Packers to come into next season with Aaron Rodgers still at the starting quarterback position. So I think it's just a matter of what would they get if they trade Jordan Love? Is that enough of enough assets that you're getting a reasonable value in return? Because we know both of them aren't going to be back. Versus what are you going to get with Rodgers? And then what's the pathway to building the most competitive 53-man roster from there? And so I think certainly there's going to be communication. And Aaron will probably get some answers from the Packers, and maybe the Packers just tell him, "Look, our decision's made up. We obviously appreciate everything you've done for this team and this organization, but if you'd like to continue to play football, we think it's in the best interest of both of us if we look at opportunities to find you a different city and team to play for next season." And then it becomes kind of that discussion. So I wouldn't be surprised either way, Dane. I'm still leaning more towards there's a lot of smoke here with this situation, and so I think ultimately he will be traded. But it is interesting to ponder what that pathway may be if that's not what happens.
Do you think that this is put a timeline on it? Is this a timeline? The draft's in April. So this would have to probably resolve in the next couple of months, realistically, in the next month and a half, 2 months, for this to be a realistic scenario. Whether he comes back or not, I think that they're going to have to make that determination sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't expect we're going to find anything out before March. If I had to guess, if they're going to trade him, more than likely it'll probably be right around that second to third week in March, like what happened last offseason when Devontae got traded. That seems to be the window. The new league year will have opened up. Free agency will be kind of ready to go. And while I don't expect the Packers to have a lot of room to be really active in free agency, I think they're going to want to probably have some decisions with the biggest part of the roster construction made before they get too far along. So I think it's reasonable that both sides, and not to mention other teams around the league, they can't drag their feet out and expect that other teams are going to be willing to take on a major trade or have to reconstruct their salary cap situation, even though they wouldn't have quite as much of a cap penalty by taking on Aaron Rodgers in a trade than the Packers do to keep him. Certainly, that's something that can't just happen in order to work for some of the other teams that might be looking at that as well. So I would say probably mid March ish we'll have a much better idea, and hopefully Aaron continues to be transparent about what his decision is, but I don't think he's going to tell us, well, I'm coming back, but the Packers decided to trade me.
No,
I expect that. Right. I expect that'll probably be coordinated between both parties, despite some of the shade and some of the lack of communication that they've had in past years. It does seem like there's enough respect on both sides, and they understand that it's mutually beneficial to work together to make that happen if that's the route they decide to go.
It's going to be a fun off-season, Wags. It's going to be very eventful. And speaking eventful, we're going to have a ton of awesome. We had an awesome guest tonight, Jeff Cotton Jr. This is the start. The off-season. We hate the off-season because the Packers aren't playing. But one of the fun parts of it is we get to have our interview series start to unfold. Jeff Cotton Jr. kicked it off tonight, but we've got some other really exciting guys in the slate coming up between now and training camp. So, between interviews, draft analysis, free agency, and camp and everything else in between, it's going to be a really busy offseason here at Lombardi's Legends Podcast.
Absolutely. So, folks, thanks so much for joining us tonight. As always, be legendary and go Pack,
go.
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheeseheads go pack go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will